So thank you guys. We are at our final panel. This morning we heard from Aggie at Splinterlands, and for our final panel, which is entitled Why NFT Gaming Will Bring Millions to Blockchain, please welcome Grant James, who's a co-founder of BreedFi, Michael Huynh, COO of Decentral, Michael Sanders, co-founder of Horizon Blockchain Games, Luke Barwikowski, the founder of CEO of Pixels, and Bozena Rezab, CEO and co-founder of Gamey.
All right, hello everyone. Is everyone still awake? Hello? There we go. Come on, kick it off. This is gonna be the best panel ever. So before we start, let's just go ahead and do quick introductions. I'll go ahead and start first. My name is Michael. I am the co-founder of Decentral. We do Web3 events and also do a lot of different types of activations across Miami, Austin, and a few other places as well.
Hi everyone. My name is Bozena. I had and co-founded a company called Gamey. We're one of Animoca brand's companies. We do mobile games for Metaverse. We started working in mobile gaming 8 years ago. We have a large free-to-play gaming audience, and 2 years ago we started working on our first Web3 products. So we can do many comparisons between these two.
All right, my name is Grant James. I have a guild called BreedFi. We have around 5,000 scholars, 10,000 NFTs. Also have a thing called AdFi, which is like the first ad platform in the metaverse, helping to build sustainable economies.
My name is Luke. I'm the founder of a gaming studio building a game called Pixels. We're backed by Animoca Brands, OpenSea, and PKO Investments. We dropped a 5,000 land NFT project back in January, and we have a game shipping in mid-September.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael. I'm a co-founder at Horizon, where we built Skyweaver. It's a free-to-play trading card game where players can win, own, and trade their NFTs. And we've also built a developer platform and smart wallet called Sequence that makes building user-friendly Web3 applications easy.
All right, and let's go ahead and kind of kick into it. So the topic is going to be about how to onboard, millions of people onto the blockchain. And through gaming, I think that, it's a really great tool for a lot of, creators and also users to kind of onboard as well. So what do you guys think is the current barriers? Like what's kind of wrong with, onboarding right now, and how are you guys acquiring users? You want to kick it off first?
Yeah, sure. I think I can take the whole 25 minutes, but I'm not. So just to give you a context, right? We have 4 million monthly active users playing our free-to-play games, and we have 500,000 monthly active playing our Web3 games, and many things are different. And 2 years ago, when we looked at our free-to-play gaming platform, we were excited. Okay, there's this new technology called blockchain, and there is a great opportunity to take the platform we have to a next level because many reasons involving community, distribution of value, because we like it, different reasons. And there was a decision between I take the new tech and I figure out how to put it to an old platform, or we start over. And we took the path starting over because I believe it's not possible to take this new technology, which is not just a tech, it's a mindset, and to try to figure out how to put it into a platform that was designed in a different way. So we started over. And one of the barriers is trying to take a new thing and paste it onto an old mindset. So I think it really has to be starting over, looking at new opportunities, new game design, new economies, new ways of engaging players, instead of looking at the user, what is the lifetime value of a player, how can I extract the value and invest that in advertising, what is my margin? Rather, what is the value that we're building, what is the value for the user, what is the value for the community? It's a completely different mindset. And that is also oftentimes a barrier.
Oh man, so I guess I'm the only guild here, right? So as a guild, we kind of see like the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think that the number one big problem is economies in general. I think that if you get into NFT gaming now, you're most likely to have a bad experience because these economies are absolutely awful. And I think that that has to do mainly with yield farming. Because what happens is you launch a token, 90% of the money goes to the game, 10% goes into a liquidity pool, that's your marketing budget. Then it's rented out to scholars. They take 30% over and over and over again at APYs that are well above Luna's 20%, 18%. Celsius types of things, absolutely impossible to make those types of things work. So I think that a lot of games need to look at other things like BR1 with their $1 spawn, $1 kill model, crypto raiders where your NFT can die. Some of the stuff that you guys are doing at Horizon where it's free to play and you've got some kind of cool things that go beyond that. But this value extracting thing, yeah, you can make money in it. Like we made close to $1 million selling Pegas and PegXC in Q1. Like you can take that, divest, whatever, but it's not healthy. And the biggest thing is that people have no idea. Like if you look at the top 50 games right now, only 3 of them have rentals, so guilds have only touched those. And the next 6 months, as new wallets come out that allow rentals across the board, like Meshable or Capitalist DAO or DQuest or some of these other wallets, now all of these games that are safe, like Splinterlands, Alien Worlds, all these great games with 250, 500,000 daily active users, plus they're going to get completely wrecked because they don't understand how this works with guilds and rental systems and that type of thing. So I think that's going to be an awful experience for people getting into NFT gaming now. And these economies need to go down to like less than half of a penny, and real economies need to rise, or things like advertising need to come into play.
Yeah, the guild perspective is really interesting. So we're all at NFT.NYC. We're all so deep into the NFT space that we kind of forget how bad the user experience is for the general user in this space. Things like setting up a MetaMask, things like getting your first piece of crypto are still really, really hard to do in this space for the average user. And they're a huge barrier to enter into this space too. So most of our focus in building our game is actually on that first onboarding experience, making it so that it's super easy to set up into this ecosystem and into the game, and also just focusing on making it like really, really friendly. So it's not just that like UI, the UX, and the onboarding experience. It's also making sure you have like a really welcoming and like friendly space to people who don't maybe have the most positive view of crypto or the most positive view of NFTs too. Because just labeling a game as play to earn or like an NFT-based game or a blockchain-backed game puts a barrier there in itself too. So creating community and creating like an energy and a vibe to the game is super important as well.
Yeah, so we see 3 things as what are inhibiting adoption to Web3 gaming and Web3 in general, and that is, the first is that there's not enough great content to break through to the mainstream, which many of you have touched on, whether it's economic design or just not being game first, right? Like, we really want to make games that are fun, first and foremost. And in large part, the reason there's a lack of content is because building Web3 applications, it's very hard, it's very slow, and it's very complex. And then even if you do make a great dApp or a game, you're still left with all the friction around the onboarding and the wallet experience, like Luke touched on. So, we're solving all 3 of these at Horizon with, Skyweaver is a game first, and it is free to play, and it's skill-based in terms of how you can earn value through play. And then with the Sequence developer platform and Smart Wallet, it really allows you to onboard in 2 clicks in a secure, smart contract, multi-sig-based manner that anyone can understand. And you don't have to install anything. You just get seamlessly onboarded into the games, and then you're off and running and playing, and hopefully there's good content there for the user to then dive into and enjoy.
Me as a, kind of like, I've been doing play to earn technically since 2007. So for me, before kind of like crypto kind of came into the picture, I was actually being able to farm on certain games, sell them for USD. I also did market making for CSGO, market making for a lot of different games as well. So for me, I'm excited because I get to test everything and break it. and I love it, right? For me, it's all about finding the arbitrage to find out how these games will affect, especially switching from the Web 2 side where it's very centralized, right? You can get your account banned. You can then create another account, get a script or create a hacking bot, and then just every single little action is just already automated. So for me, I'm really excited for everyone to kind of build, and then also everyone's also doing it to where they're testing in production, right? The game doesn't know it's broken until the game is released. So it's funny because like once you add the play to earn aspect to it, that's when money comes into play. And when money comes into play, there's always going to be greed. There's always going to be bad actors. There's also going to be good actors as well. White hats, black hats, whichever one it is. But for me, it's really exciting just to kind of be able to test every little area. So now, kind of talking back to like the guild perspective, you know, what happens when, let's say, for example, everything goes back to a penny, and the gaming industry doesn't flourish as much as possible? Do you guys think within 2 to 3 years is play to earn gaming, or even gaming itself, going to be able to onboard, you know, of course the millions, but also be able to keep that as well? Let's go ahead and start with Michael first.
Yeah, I think for sure. Again, I think it just goes back to content. Like, if you create an engaging and fun game, first and foremost, you can build a community around that alone. And then if you layer in these Web3 incentives around ownership and tradability, then you're taking it to another level. So with sensible economy design layered on top of that great content, you can create network effects and gaming communities and ecosystems that will transcend anything we've ever seen up until this point.
I kind of chime in on that. So I'd probably take like a contrarian point of view on that. So I advise on like over 20 different games, and a lot of times when games come to us and they're like, hey, come invest in $100,000 here, come do this game, blah, blah, blah. One of the first things that my mind goes to is like, how do I break your game during this conversation? And the first thing that everyone says is like, my game is good. And I think that from a games perspective, like that should be your focus, and I think that that's a good thing. But I would challenge more games to make those mutually exclusive. Like, take a game like Big Time, for instance. Really awesome platform. Really love those guys. They want 1 to 2 million daily active users. They're using Web 2 skin sales to subsidize their Web 3 economy. Not to like call them out or whatever, but their Web 3 economy is really bad. So it's like they're anticipating 50% scholarship, you know, payouts. So 50-50, which is like a game, if it's over 90% that's not getting burned, it's gonna, like, the token's gonna crash. And then all of the making of the materials, the what's it called, crafting type of stuff, goes directly to the scholars. They dump it in the marketplace, and then the guild has to buy it back. So you're gonna have scholars, and the liquidity pools are like huge because they've raised a bunch of money. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna have people in the Philippines and in Brazil that are gonna completely wreck shop on all of that, and just with APYs of like 500%, and just pull all that money out until your liquidity pool's dead, then your NFTs die, blah, 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 blah. So I would challenge more games to be like, you love your baby and you should, but like, let's be mutually exclusive and have some other games, kind of like people have like hackers come in for security. Have guys like us come in and tell you how your game breaks, and let's think through that ahead of time, because it's not fun. We like to enter into games when it's under a penny, right? Because we don't want to pay that high premium. But let's not have that happen, because it's really bad, you know?
Yeah, you can come try to break it right now if you like.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's interesting is, if you noticed, Michael said he's been in the play-to-earn space since 2007. Play-to-earn actually isn't really a new concept, even though we like to think it is in this crypto space. But games have had some kind of monetary value attached to them for a really, really long time. So it's interesting because a lot of these game economic question marks and these problems, like the NFTs and the interoperability introduces new aspects that you need to worry about, but a lot of these still kind of are solved problems in a way, with game economy design and balance, where you don't need to reinvent the wheel as much as we initially had thought we did. And when we're looking at monetization too, it's like pretty interesting how we're looking into our tokenomics, where there's a couple of different approaches. You can have like a really, really tightly integrated token into an economy, or you can kind of monetize it like you would a normal game too, where you really just have the benefits of ownership being on the blockchain, or the benefits of being able to like exit a position in one game and move it to another, rather than like the tightly knit economics, where those would be a huge issue. So it's like really interesting the different options you can face, whether your priorities like user experience, a good game, or whether it's like creating a real economy. So this space is fascinating.
Real quick on that, like one of the things I think is awesome that you guys did is you've waited like 4 years or something like that to launch a token. Zedrun's done the same type of thing. 2018, it's been around. You enter with Ethereum, 70% of the prize pool goes to the top 3 players, whatever, like that type of stuff works. I think that just being patient like that and understanding, make a game that works, make something that's profitable long before you launch a token. It's hard with VCs and you want that early capital, but just waiting, I think to your point is like fantastic. Do not rush your token, because once your token dies, like it's FUD city,
I feel like it has almost everything has been said. So what I can add on top of it is that we're looking into having soft and hard currency as like in free-to-play, where you have the soft currency that's easy to get hands on so you can start playing. But in the case of Web3, it's really a digital currency. It's not on-chain. And the hard currency is the one on-chain, but you're very careful about where you put it. So it's the same learnings and mechanics that we have seen working in free-to-play. Just the benefit of having the hard currency on-chain enables players to exit the game and go somewhere else if they want to. But we're equally careful about giving the currency and working with the currency as we would in the free-to-play.
And I think that also not everything has to be on the blockchain. You can keep how he was saying about just the ownership portion of it, the digital, let's say the files and everything. But like, let's say for example, one of the games I played that I did market making was CS:GO, which is Counter-Strike. And what happened was I was able to acquire skins, and then from there, actually acquire a certain amount of skins repeatedly. So I found there was a little loophole with one of the loot boxes, and was able to exploit that. And I bought all the ones that were on the market. So I inflated it and sold one I placed it at $1,000. Everyone started buying that, started pushing up to 2,000, and then they found out that I had 400. So I flooded the market, right? Whatever's going to be remaining in there, that's, it kind of exited out. But I think a lot of the games, even early on, are, really have to be careful of what they're doing for their tokenomics, their emission as well, to make sure that their economy doesn't get wrecked. Because a lot of them, they do want to create a good game. They do want to create a user base to where people are onboarding, but sometimes they might overlook some of the small things. So on that note, what do you guys think, for your companies alone, what are you guys looking for whenever it comes to games and kind of how they're engaging with the community to also do balances as well? Because, for example, if I was running a script on a game and I was making a lot of money off of it, but they starting to see that it's an exploit. Since it is on the blockchain, you want to be very careful with it because everyone else is going to be, having their money tied to it. So how do you guys think of like the community feedback for, any of the games or any of the games you're working with? Let's go ahead with you first.
I feel like cheating in games, and I'm glad you say the exploits, that they were here before Web3 and long time. It's been since the beginning of gaming, cheating and workarounds and figuring out stuff has been there. This is part of the process. So the figuring out where the problem is and fixing it is an ongoing stuff. And you cannot do that without the community, without players who are actually spending day and night because they see it best. So you can have security experts, security tools as much as you want, but you cannot do that without the community. It's like essential part, and it never stops. It's always on.
Oh man, yeah, that's probably not a good question for me.
I'm pretty opinionated on this. So yeah, I think for us, like the right type of person holding a token and playing the game is really important. And that's kind of where we shape our community too, where we don't really want speculators coming into our ecosystem. Honestly, we don't really want guilds coming into our ecosystem. We want people who are playing the game because they enjoy the game first and foremost. And that's how we can kind of like frame all of this. So where we don't really want the focus of our player to be on the economy. We want to be sure they're having like actual fun playing the game and getting value regardless of the economy. The economy is just kind of like it's a nice to have or like an add-on on top of the game when we're designing.
So, question on that. So let's assume that 6 months from now, every game has rentals because the technology catches up with it. Let's assume there's mass rentals where we can rent out 500 to 1,000 with one click, mass take-back set percentages, and that's just standard. So there's no hiding your economy. The player doesn't matter. It is what it is. What do you do when the technology catches up and everyone's going to start doing that?
Yeah, so at that point, you're just competing for people's attention, or you're competing for like some way to monetize your game. So like the most important parts of our monetization strategy right now are not the like essential in-game assets. It's more like cosmetics, like selling skins, kind of like you would in Fortnite too, where now, okay, you have a cool skin in Fortnite, you can actually move it to different games, Roblox, Minecraft, stuff like that, where it's not like economy breaking. It's like a nice to have, it's an add-on. People want to pay for it because it gets them something in our game, or it moves them a bit, but it's not going to like completely change the economy like it would for other games that have like a really tightly knit currency.
I think even for that side too. So I actually ran a guild prior called Free Market Kings, which is it's not in Web3 or anything, but even if it's just skins, you were still able to create a fan base around that and people that are interested in that too. So I think letting guilds go is not the perfect thing, because guilds can also, you'll probably have a guild and they'll say, hey, we have 10,000 users, and 100 of them might be really active in your game. So you might be using, of course, their purpose is to make money off of the game, but at the same time, it's still going to be providing a lot of value, because then they're also interacting with the community. They're trying to find out, how do I beat the next boss or do whatever to kind of farm those items, and they might release walkthrough guides or release items and contents. So I think that the approach of banning guilds or like trying not to work with them is it's kind of like a win and lose. The lose side is basically, hey, look, a guild's coming into my game, I don't like that. The win of it is so much more than just the loss. So I think that just having that structure there is still very beneficial for a game, because it's also a part of a community that you probably didn't tap into, but it was there. And friends can be like, hey, it's a Friday night, let's go guilding, let's go bossing or something. I think that portion is still building the community for you. Michael, you had?
Yeah, so for us, in terms of balancing, we've been very transparent since the beginning that Skyweaver cards, they do get balanced over time, because we don't want something to become overpowered and then game-breaking. And our community knows this is an essential to a trading card game to keep that balance in check, because the alternative would be to ban cards or rotate them entirely out of play, but we want you to always be able to play a card if you happen to own it. And similarly to you, Luke, the assets that you can buy in-game, they are cosmetic, and you can unlock the base versions of all the cards through free play, and they're actually non-tradable items. And it's interesting because even in a free-to-play game, we do have a number of guilds, and they run tournaments, and they'll offer like additional cash prizes, kind of like as a third party to the ecosystem. And so in that sense, like guilds have been really like wonderful and collaborative with us, and in a different way than occurs in a lot of the kind of more Ponzi economic games that we've seen earlier.
And so we only have a few minutes left, so I just kind of want to do a quick run around of final thoughts for you guys. And the question is going to be, where do you see the future of Web3 gaming? And let's say within the next 2 years, because crypto moves so fast. Like I would say 1 year, because crypto moves so fast. Let's go ahead and start with let's go. Yeah.
Well, I think that if we had the same conversation 6 months ago, a year ago, we would be maybe saying very different things, and we will be saying very different things if you ask the same questions in 6 months. It's because we're all learning a lot, and many things that we have discussed, nobody has figured it out exactly, and that's the beauty, right? Because we don't know exactly what is going to be the strongest business model, what is going to be the best way, how to work with hardcore gamers, guilds, or what is going to be the best, you name it. And one after another, these things are evolving, the thoughts are evolving. We look at the patterns, we look at behavior of gamers, what they understand, what they like, And this is amazing. So I think in the future of Web3 gaming is somewhere, we know the direction. We don't know exactly, but it's a very strong movement. It's a culture force. And yeah, I'm super happy, super excited to be in that space.
Yeah, for me, I think that guilds are going to end up doing more. I think that right now, scholars, guilds, it's all value extracting. But these guilds know a lot of information. And I think they're going to be building cool stuff. I think that for us, we've kind of in some ways abandoned the guild model, and that's why we're building an ad platform and a skins platform. I think that there's a ton of money in that, $1/3 trillion in ads. Twitch makes $600 million a year just off of the stuff they do. And Fortnite sells $5 billion a year in skins, so I think that that's where the money is. I think that's going to take guilds and other groups coming out and building.
Yeah, so hundreds of gaming studios just got funded in the bull run to build new blockchain-backed games. We're going to see an explosion of them in the next year or so after all the pre-production is done, all the building is done. So it's pretty crazy the level of talent that just got moved into this space and how much money got funneled into the space over the last 6 to 7 months. 2 years from now, beyond that too, the entire industry is going to be moving in this direction too. I was at GDC in February. It was crazy how many of these big companies have NFT gaming specific teams that are kind of scouting it out, getting a vibe of it, and seeing if they want to move into the space. So the industry is going to be in this direction pretty soon. We kind of just get to be the guinea pigs and test it out right now.
Yeah, we're actually working with some of the really big Web2 gaming studios and providing them the infrastructure and wallet. And some of those, I think, will actually be released in 2 to 4 years from now. So in the next year, I think we'll see a lot of Web3 native projects emerging with new game styles, new economies, and it'll be a forever continuing evolution. And I think it's going to be really beautiful and exciting.
For me, I see a lot of big brands trying to come in to kind of, for me, I see it as a money grab for them or an extra revenue stream for them. But there are companies that are, really beneficial for the space in terms of bringing on developers, people that are going to be coding for the games, software designers, animators. So I think that the quality of games will start slowly increasing. I mean, in 1 year, we'll probably have another wave of explosion for GameFi. We'll probably have our own dedicated conference and everything for just games alone. I remember in 2018 at, I believe it was E3, we had a blockchain gaming stage, and back then they were like, what's an NFT? What is blockchain gaming? Oh, you guys are, okay, cool. And now they're like, well, how do I get in? How do I do this, right? So I do see a lot of people onboarding, especially from the Web2 space. And I think within the next few years, especially with all the funding as well, a lot of cool things are going to happen. And I'm ready to break them. So this is going to be fun.
Hey, guys, thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Hope you guys liked everything.